I have two topics triggered by email and some channel comments, video comments to go to. So we'll go right to it. There's my audio confirmation. Now about to get a speaker bot confirmation in 3, 2, 1. Now, wow, I got that right. Well, that was just in my ear. You didn't hear that one. Here's the one for you.
DougBot said, hi, how you doing?
That worked. Okay, so I'm going to come right to the first email from John Downey. Now, ignore these little messages up here. Those are the AI email, Gmail responses. Those are not things that I type. From John Downey, Doug, a tech with a YouTube channel, Carrie Holtzman. Let me point out, John, there's no T. There's no T in Holtzman. Says a VPN is unnecessary for the home office user. I have been using NordVPN when traveling to connect to public Wi-Fi, i.e. hotels. Is there a reason to use NordVPN for my home office? Well, maybe. And let's start out with saying that I absolutely agree. Carrie's comment is absolutely correct. It is not necessary for the home office user to use a VPN. You can use internet, home users, home office users, they can use the internet without a NordVPN. It is not necessary in order to use the internet. That doesn't mean that it's never important to a home user or a home office user. There are special circumstances. Now, Carrie has said this many times on his show, that there are always exceptions and special cases. Hi, Stormy. There are always special cases to the things that he says. He's generally often giving a response to the mass audience out there that he notices people out there in this case that were saying, oh, you got to have a VPN. And he responds to that saying, oh, calm down. It's not necessary. And he's absolutely right. But there are special cases. He doesn't always add in that there may be special cases. Sometimes he does. It gets really tiring and old to say that every single time. So I thought, since John Downey had the foresight to send this as an email, and notice when he sent it, 23 hours ago. It was right after yesterday's show. Let's see, do that one there, 23 hours ago, or 23 hours when I first brought this up. So because he gave me a little bit of time to prepare by asking a question by email or by a video comment, those both give me a little bit of time to prepare. I've got a little bit prepared for that. So let's go look at this over here. With my one paid, I have more than one. With one of my paid team members, my paid staff members. Did you know that I have paid team members on this channel? In this case, it's a paid subscription to Copilot because I pay for that. However, this is not my paid version of Copilot. The paid version is Microsoft 365 Copilot. This is Windows Copilot that is included with Windows. They work differently. They operate differently. I use both. I use Windows Copilot for some things. I use MS 365 Copilot for other things because they operate differently. So here, what I did, I just took his comment, just copy pasted it, because I knew that Copilot was going to formulate the response in a more organized fashion than what I could do off the top of my head. So Copilot is really useful for this. Now, let's see. How can I, if I bring this down and over here, then I can get my picture out of the way. That way I don't have to turn myself off. I don't like turning myself off. I'm kind of on, you know? This is a great topic for discussion, especially since opinions on VPNs can vary widely depending on individual needs and circumstances. And there are some people out there who just insist everybody should be using a VPN. No. We're going to get into some specifics and understanding what is your risk if you're just a normal user and you are not using a VPN. You are a little bit elevated risk. Yeah, but you're at an elevated risk when you get out of bed in the morning. Does that mean you shouldn't do it? When you drive a car, you're at an elevated risk. Does that mean you shouldn't do it? For home and home office use, a VPN might not always be necessary, but it can still offer benefits. Here are some points to consider. Privacy from ISP, your internet service provider, your Comcast, your AT&T, your yada yada, yoda yoda, or whatever your internet service provider. I thought I was going to remember that other name that is like on the other part of USA. I don't remember their name right now. Privacy from ISPs. Even at home, your internet service provider can track your online activities. It might be justifiable to say can and do. Oh, thank you, people, for doing the exclamation mark points. And notice you have less points than yesterday. I will explain that in a little bit. A VPN encrypts your traffic, making it harder for ISPs to monitor your browsing habits. Notice that it says make it harder. It does not say make it impossible. Accessing geo-restricted content. If you want to access content that's restricted to certain regions like streaming services, a VPN can help by masking your IP address. Then let's scroll down here. Now, that part there, so whatever site you're trying to go to through the internet, that other site is not going to be able to see your IP address. So they're not going to be able to tell where in the world that you are, because what they're going to see is the VPN IP address at whatever point that you're telling the VPN service that you want to connect from to some internet site. I'm gonna take a little moment there and just insert a little piece here. Why did that button not work? There it goes. I don't use a VPN normally. I do use a VPN application when I'm connecting remotely to a certain client's office who has very high security requirements. I use a VPN client, not a VPN service. It's a VPN software program on my computer that connects directly to the VPN host in his office, not through a VPN service. That's a different kind of VPN. I did recently use a VPN service with a client who spends half of the year in Amsterdam. That's not quite close enough. He's near Amsterdam. Spends half the year there and half the year here in California. Well, he's an attorney, kind of close to retirement. He doesn't do a lot of law practice over there in Amsterdam. What's the country? Or no, the other word that I'm trying to think of where he is. Holland. Holland. That's what he prefers to refer to it as. But he does occasionally do something. So he came back here to California, and then he needed to get a medical report that was sent to him from a site in Holland, and he just was getting an error message. So what I did is I signed up for a temporary trial account for a VPN service, was able to get that information for him and provide it to him. So that was an occasion where we couldn't get that if we were outside of the country. So that was very useful. So those are two recent and conceivable uses that I would be using it. Now, I had a client, the Law 40 office. They used to have an office in a town that's about an hour away. Well, I'm in Fresno. Their remote office was in Visalia. We set up a VPN through their ISP, where their ISP put a special device in the Fresno office and a special device in their Visalia office that created a dedicated VPN, a dedicated pipeline. So they're 100% full-time connected to each other. So that is actually kind of a third router to router connection. Now, continuing back over here. Enhanced security. Is that where I was at? Geo-restricted, I did that. Enhanced security. While your home network is generally safer than public Wi-Fi, a VPN adds an extra layer of encryption, which can be useful if you're handling sensitive data. So if you think that what you're handling is important enough, secret enough, high enough value that a bad guy, a criminal mind, might get a job at your ISP for the sole purpose of gaining access to your internet traffic to be able to spy on you, then you might be interested in a VPN service. The protection against bandwidth throttling. Some ISPs throttle bandwidth based on your activity. You might be streaming or gaming. A VPN can hide your activity type, potentially preventing this. Now, that's probably not going to be real feasible for a gamer or a streamer that needs really high performance bandwidth. Now, if you have gigabit service, then it might not degrade your performance enough to prevent the benefit of doing that. So possibly there. However, there are also limitations. Much of your web traffic is already encrypted with HTTPS. Now, I have some clients that actually access some government sites that have account credentials that they have to sign in with. There are some elements within there that are not HTTPS because there are some elements of government that aren't up to speed with that yet. So a VPN might not add significant value for everyday browsing. VPNs can sometimes slow down your internet connection due to the encryption process. The encryption process is going to happen with the VPN software that's at your computer. So you also want to have a pretty fast computer in order for that to not slow down your traffic. But once your computer encrypts the traffic, now it goes to your ISP as encrypted. That part should not be slowed down because of it being encrypted. The slowdown should be, as I understand it, from your computer side performing the encryption. For your viewer, Doug, it sounds like their use of NordVPN while traveling is a smart move for securing public Wi-Fi connections. But, hang on. The rest of the story. At home, the decision to use a VPN depends on their specific needs, such as privacy concerns, accessing restricted content, or avoiding ISP throttling. Now, there's a couple pieces there. This piece about public Wi-Fi connections. Your computer can encrypt its own connections, or encrypt what it's going to send out over the internet. But if your computer has file and print sharing turned on, and let's suppose you don't even have a Windows password on your computer, then other people that are connecting to that same public Wi-Fi have pretty much an open door to access files that are on your computer. It's pretty easy for them to get to your computer because although you're connecting to the internet from using that VPN software that's on your computer, that all that does is that encrypts the stuff that goes out through the internet. That does not encrypt your connection to the Wi-Fi network that's in that public place, like a Starbucks or a McDonald's or whatever it may be. So VPN does not completely protect you in a public environment, public Wi-Fi environment. For your view, okay, then this other at home. Okay, I have come across many people who have, let's say, adult children spending time in their home who are struggling in life and perhaps have some vices where you might even be concerned about leaving them home alone in your house because you're afraid they might physically steal stuff from you. Well, if that offspring or whoever it is that's in your home, maybe it's even somebody renting a room from you, if they spend a lot of time on your computer and you have an impression that they're pretty good at their computer, it is conceivable that they might be have a sniffer on your network to capture internet traffic that goes out from your computer to the internet, and might be trying to, steal from you as an identity theft. And then you would probably not know that. You would assume that somebody out there on the World Wide Web hacked your accounts when it's actually that person in your home. So a VPN in your home could help with that. Now, but then you have the same concern about in a public Wi-Fi location where if you have file and printer sharing enabled on your computer, and especially if you don't have a strong Windows password on your computer, or if they know what it is, or if you leave your computer logged in, you could be vulnerable that way. So special case scenarios, but for the general public, you know, and I'm imagining, and I suspect that this is the case, that when Kerry talks about a topic like that, it's because he's recently seen that on some forum somewhere, some Reddit site with people saying everybody needs to have this, or maybe he's seen it even in his chat room, and he's responding to those comments. So there are special use case scenarios. For, let's see. Okay, we got through that. Accessing content. What do you think? Now I went down a little bit further.
Chat, please.
See, you've already taught Copilot here the wrong spelling of Carrie's last name. I see your comment, John. I'm not going to revert for that right now. We'll try to catch that later if I get to spend time in comments. Then I said, let's take a look at this. Does NordVPN? Now, some of these questions I'll ask of Copilot when I already know the answer, but it's going to give me a well-formatted answer. Does NordVPN have a locally installed component that prevents my home ISP from knowing what website I am accessing by encrypting my communication before it reaches my ISP? If yes, then does the ISP at least see that I'm communicating with NordVPN? Because I want to get this out on the table. Yes, NordVPN has a locally installed component, its app, that encrypts your internet traffic before it reaches your ISP. This means your ISP cannot see the specific websites you are accessing or the content of your communication. Instead, all your data is encrypted and routed through NordVPN's servers. However, your ISP can still see that you are connected to a NordVPN server. Specifically, they can detect. Here we go. The IP address of the NordVPN server you are using. So they can tell what country you're trying to connect through. Gives them a clue. The time you connected to the VPN, the amount of data being transmitted, that the data is encrypted and readable. Can they make some deductions about your activity? Sure. What can they do with that? Now, we can pretty commonly know that they sell some levels of information about us. Might they provide that information to other VPN services so those other VPN services know that you might be a good candidate for their advertising? Yeah, this is a common feature of VPNs. They mask your online activity, but not the fact that you're using a VPN. If you'd like to dive deeper, yada, yada, yada. Then here's the next question I asked. I don't even remember what I asked now because this was yesterday. Will the destination website that I am connecting with through NordVPN know anything about my location other than what I have told them if I have an account with them? Now, I already knew the answers to this, but Copilot does a really good job of formatting this answer. When you connect to a website through NordVPN, the website generally sees the IP address of the NordVPN server you're using, not your actual IP address or location. And they may know that is a NordVPN IP address. So they realize you're trying to mask your location. However, there are a few ways the website might infer additional information about your location. Account information. If you've provided location details during the account creation or billing, the website may use that information. Browser or device data. Websites can gather metadata from your browser or device, such as language settings or time zone, which might hint at your location. Cookies and tracking. If you visited the website before without a VPN, cookies stored on your device might reveal your real location. Location permissions. If you allow the website to access your device's location via a browser pop-up, it can bypass the VPN and detect your actual location. To minimize these risks, you can clear cookies, disable location permissions, and adjust your browser settings to limit metadata sharing. Let me know if you'd like tips on how to do this. If any of you would like to have me demonstrate how to disable location permissions for a specific website, then you can ask about that in channel comments or an email. That's better than doing it in the chat room, because I might not get around to it in the chat room, and I'm not going to capture your questions from the chat room and carry it over to the next live stream, because that just takes too much time to do that. Now then, here, can someone with using the same public Wi-Fi that I'm using with NordVPN hack into my computer if I have a weak Windows password, file and printer sharing enabled, and or SMB 1.0 enabled, or any of the lesser secure SMBs? I'm not sure off the top of my head what their version numbers are. Using public Wi-Fi can expose your device to potential risk, even if you're using NordVPN. Here's how the factors you mentioned could play a role. Weak Windows password. A weak password makes it easier for attackers to guess or brute force their way onto your system. There are software applications that you can run locally on a computer to try password combinations, commonly known passwords, and even intelligent passwords, meaning they input information they know about you to try to crack your password. Now, this could also happen in your own home local area network. While NordVPN, and not only if you're on Wi-Fi, if you're connected through an Ethernet cable to your router and somebody else in your home is connected by Wi-Fi, that's the same local area network, unless you have set up a guest Wi-Fi network that has a different IPN network, subnet, whatever. While NordVPN encrypts your internet traffic, it doesn't protect your local device from someone on the same network trying to access it directly. Yesterday, I talked about multiple layers of protection. A VPN is one layer. If you apply that layer and don't take the other appropriate layers of precaution, then it might just be money and effort out the window, down the drain. File and printer sharing enabled. If file and printer sharing is enabled, it could allow other devices on the same network to access shared printers or printers on your computer. On public Wi-Fi, this is particularly risky, as malicious actors could exploit this feature to gain unauthorized access. SMB 1.0 enabled. SMB 1.0 is an outdated protocol with known vulnerabilities, such as being susceptible to attacks like WannaCry. Do you want to cry? Do you want to cry? If enabled, then turn SMB 1.0 on while you're on a public Wi-Fi. If enabled, it could allow attackers to exploit these vulnerabilities to access your system, even if you're using a VPN. Recommendations to stay safe. Stay safe. I think I got that right that time. Use a strong password. Ensure your Windows password is complex and difficult to guess. Disable file and printer sharing. Yeah, I got to tell you, I had one client when I started working with him. I needed his local password for his Windows computer. One of the characters in his password was holding down the Alt key and using the numeric keypad with a 3-character code to include a non-displayable character as part of his password. I've had 2 clients with that, who they were already doing that when I started working for them. Wow. Disable file and printer sharing. Turn off this feature when connected to public networks. Disable SMB. Now, you can have, when you connect to a public Wi-Fi, your Windows computer will default to the firewall setting that's a public network, and that's a different set of firewall settings. So by default, I think it's going to have file and printer sharing off. So when you connect to a public Wi-Fi, if you have already modified your firewall, your Windows firewall, so that your public network setting has file and printer sharing turned on, that's where you're going to be vulnerable. But by default, the public network profile is going to have file and printer sharing turned off. So by default, there is a bit of protection there. Disable SMB 1.0. If you don't need it for legacy devices, disable SMB 1.0. And that is disabled by default in modern Windows operating systems. The higher versions, I think, are defaulted on. Keep your system updated. Regularly update your operating system software to patch security vulnerabilities. Enable firewall. Use a firewall to block unauthorized access to your device. Now, I figure as long as we're on this topic, we might as well go further. While NordVPN encrypts your internet traffic and protects you from many online threats, it doesn't shield you from local network attacks. Taking these additional precautions will help secure your device on public Wi-Fi. Let me know if you'd like guidance on implementing any of these steps. And let's come down further. Is the Windows built-in firewall sufficient? I already know my answer to that. I already have my opinion on it. I want to, Copilot's going to give a nice presentation of it. Yes, the Windows built-in firewall, known as Windows Defender Firewall, is generally sufficient for most users. It provides robust protection by monitoring and controlling incoming and outgoing network traffic based on security rules. Here are some key points about its effectiveness. Real-time protection. It actively blocks unauthorized access to your system and can prevent malicious software from communicating with external servers. Customizable rules. It can create custom rules, which I've done quite a fair amount of that, to allow or block specific applications or ports, giving you control over your network security. Integration with Windows Security. It works seamlessly with other Windows security features such as Microsoft Defender Antivirus to provide comprehensive protection. You know, it dawns on me, these days I'm not getting to watch all of Kerry Holzman's shows. He made some kind of reference recently about something about, I had the impression, fixing a Malwarebytes issue that I was wondering if that was if anybody knows where he talked about that, which day he talked about that, I'd be interested, because I'm wondering that there have been some occasions where Malwarebytes had some kind of an issue that was associated with the Windows update. You know, he very much is all on board with Malwarebytes. I use it on occasion when I need it for special reasons. I don't run it all the time or on any of my clients' computers because it has caused issues. And I'm quite comfortable with Windows Defender Firewall. But anyway, little sidetrack there. Where was I at? Customized rules, integration with Windows Security. It works seamlessly with other Windows security features such as Microsoft Defender Antivirus to provide comprehensive protection. And also, a lot of my clients have vertical market software, and they don't like the third-party antivirus products because they can't spend the time to test their products against all of those. Ease of use. It's user-friendly and doesn't require additional installation or subscription fees. However, there are some limitations. Here we go. What's the downside? It lacks advanced features like intrusion detection systems or detailed traffic analysis, which are available in some third-party firewalls. It may not be as effective in protecting against sophisticated attacks targeting specific vulnerabilities. For most home and office users, the Windows built-in firewall is sufficient when combined with good security practices such as keeping your system updated, using strong passwords even on your local Windows account, and avoiding suspicious links or downloads. If you have specific needs like advanced network monitoring, you might consider third-party firewall solutions. Let me know if you'd like recommendations or help configuring the Windows firewall. Now, why do I emphasize strong passwords on local Windows computer? Routers have been known to have vulnerabilities. If a hacker can get into your local area network by hacking into your router and get connected to any of the devices in your local area network, I'm of the understanding even security cameras could be their foot in the door. Then they can move laterally. If you've got computers on the local area network that are not protected with a good, strong local Windows password, then you could be vulnerable. Now, however, that is a targeted attack by a skilled hacker. That kind of thing's not going to happen, as far as I know, with an automated bot out there on the internet. Are you really an attractive enough target for that? Since I haven't come across any documentable instances of that, I'm kind of doubtful. And I think the people who are enough of a target for that, that's not likely going to get reported to me or in an environment that I can hear about it. Let's see there. Okay, so then, now this is going on to internet speed. So that is the half hour. Let's take one more. I'm going to try to hit this one quick since we've had a lot of interaction with David Couch. I can't bring his email up, but there's other stuff. So he sent an email saying, I left comments in the video. We'll get to that in a minute. He said, I used the 2.5 port. We talked about this yesterday. He used that 2.5 port on his Xfinity router, the bottom right port, with his laptop that is 2.5 Ethernet. And it still doesn't work. I did try leaving the laptop on there alone with a reboot. It's still slow. So he rebooted after disconnecting everything else, only having his laptop connected to that 2.5 port, restarting both of them. He still has poor performance. Now, if I come over to his video comment, I think there's more there. Let's see here. Yeah, here. It is the lower right port on the router. Supposed to be 2.5 gig. Speed tests on that port, 140 megabits per second on that port. Now, the speed tests that he showed us yesterday, those might have been on a higher, on the gigabit ports, that he was getting those speeds that were approaching 1 gigabit. But on the 2.5 gigabit port, he's getting very poor performance, as I understand this. GS108PE was the model of that network switch, that Netgear network switch. The yellow ports are power over Ethernet, which we affirmed that yesterday. And here, most importantly, Xfinity will not dispatch. So this leaves, as far as I can see, a promising recourse is to call that specific individual that was showed at the end of yesterday's live stream with a phone number for that individual for assistance. Say, hey, I'm not getting support. I'm getting 140 megabits on my 2.5 gigabit port. They won't send another technician out. I'm really upset about this. What can you help me with? Don't come on, all angry and chewing that person out. Just give them the correct, reasonable, honest truth of what your experience has been. And I'm optimistic that you'll get some help there. All right. And as far as the update he reported yesterday, now it dies at 98%. As for the update, now it dies at 98%. I don't know what you mean by now. Does that mean that you did the download from the catalog.update.microsoft.com? Did you download it and install it there and now it dies at 98%? I don't know what you mean by now, after you've done what? And there again, he says it's a laptop with 2.5 gigabit. Alice, thank you for the comment. Great show yesterday. She says lots of discussions. User something or other says quality content, which is rare these days. Thanks for doing this. Let's see. I am gonna come over to chat. But if you have something specifically that you want me to see, I'm gonna try 2060. If somebody can give me a correction on that, I would appreciate that. If you go back and check this number in the bottom right corner, when I got to this person's comment. So, user, thank you for that. We are here up to 6 days a week, Monday through Fridays, starting at 9 a.m. Pacific time, Saturdays, 11 a.m. Pacific time. And you can send a question to this email address. Myself in the chat room will do our level best to provide you with an answer or help towards an answer. And we will follow whatever issue that you have over multiple days if needed. And John, I see your comment. Thank you. So there we get thumbs up and heart to that. Then I don't need to give David timestamps because this whole show has been about him. Really? And then let's get to chat. I'm going to hit the oranges. I'm interested to see the exclamation points that some of you have been trying that. And see, John Williams, am I first in the chat? How many points do I get? You are not first in the chat after the show begins. So let me show this. Here is the programming in StreamerBot. This first word, you reset all points. And let's see, actually it's easier for me to show this. Begin stream actions. When the stream begins, when I ask OBS to begin streaming, here's the first action. Reset all points. It brings all points back to 0. I added this yesterday, after yesterday's show, because yesterday's show, the points were not getting reset. I didn't realize that. The second thing it does is it clears all users from the group. So at this point, we're starting from scratch. The first person after these two commands hit is going to be the first to be awarded the first 1 minute of points. If you put in a chat message, that will start the counter. If you put in exclamation points, it'll say you have 0 points, but after 1 minute passes, then you'll get the first 50 points. So for those of you who are interested, the race is on, and I might never repeat this piece of information again, which points out it is kind of advantageous to never miss a show, or at least if you have to watch it in replay, because I might not repeat this little nugget of information. If you manage to be the first one in chat, even if you're doing exclamation mark points or put in a chat message after these two commands are run, then you got a little bit of a head start. Thanks for asking, John. Martin Hogg, hello to all you wonderful, skillful, kind, positive-minded, helpful people. Isn't that the truth? Thank you for that comment. Hello to everybody. How many negative points have required? Your points all got wiped out this morning. So none of the negativity from yesterday carried over. I'm going to scan through here. Oh, yeah, this comment. I did notice this before starting the show. Ugh, just bouncing around on me. I hate that scroll wheel. This is a gaming mouse. It's supposed to be really, really good. I'm using it on a gaming trackpad, mouse pad. Noting, when I first read, the first 2 times I read this morning, I read it as noting small mail P.O. boxes. What? Noting snail mail P.O. boxes have been discussed here in the past. Yes, I have. For the first time, I am experiencing a delay between informed delivery and a P.O. box. I was unable to use informed delivery on my so-called P.O. box because it was a private mailbox service. They won't do that for that. I have experienced, times where my informed delivery for my mail coming to my community mailbox did not come on the day when they said it would. So I have experienced that with my local mail address. I think that's what Danielle is referring to here. She experienced a delay between informed delivery and when the mail actually arrived at the P.O. box. that same thing can happen with your actual home address, by judging by my experience. Alice, the gaming mouse, it's a Logitech Pro Super Light. There's a name actually on it. Why is my camera one button not working sometimes? It says Super Light right there. It's a G something or other. The number isn't on it. It's kind of expensive, but I'm not going to go further down that rabbit hole right now. You can ask on another stream, and preferably towards the beginning of the stream if you want more on that. So do we come to Doug for help with our NCAA tournament brackets? No. I don't know where you came up with that. Scanning. I need to shut down pretty soon. Stormy. Let's see. Yes, because when I created that, I had a paid account to heygen.com. So yes, Stormy, the woman, not the Stormcloud, just the woman, is a paid staff member. You can't have a cloud as a paid staff member. That's not actual, person. Wendy, the girl that acts, is the actress who does Stormy for me, is named Wendy. It's just devolving. Kid's new toy, watch him go nuts. 0 points, now I'm depressed. Yeah, your first, let's see, Martin Hogg. If that's your first comment, if your first comment is asking points, well, now you've just joined. After 1 minute, you'll have 50 points. Every minute after that, as long as you're still considered a current participant, so you're not showing up on here now. So you're no longer gaining 50 per minute. You have to still, I'm not sure if it's still on this list or if it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes that you have to have chat activity, something like that. You have to have reasonably active chat activity to keep increasing points. I've got a new toy. Points. Is it me having the new toy, or is it the viewers that you're referring to, Jim? Do you restrict the useful for, say, Netflix? Yeah. But Netflix knows. Netflix can tell that you're using a, what do we call those? VPN service. I keep hearing international nomads have more difficulty with bankering and broking accounts. Bankering and broking accounts. Why even bother correcting myself? You know what I mean. Government always asks access to your computer, David says. No. Under certain circumstances, they may be able to gain, but that's pretty serious circumstances. It's going to involve court actions. That's going to involve jumping through a lot of hoops. So I have to correct that. I can't let that be. Oh, David's here with us live. Hi, David. Yeah, I can't let a statement like that stand, because some people might actually believe that. No, they do not. There is no government employee who can, without authorization, go to his computer and gain access to your computer. No, that doesn't happen. There's a lot of hoops they have to jump through. It's going to involve courts. It's going to involve a judge, and there's going to have to be some significant reason that they're giving for wanting access to your computer. Does not happen the way that phrase can leave somebody with the impression. No. And if you want to make a case contrary to that, send me some credible evidence of that. Not some YouTubers, not 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 a video of John McAfee. No, I just saw a piece of that this morning. Oh my God. Same way it works on a computer. I need a VPN. My wife keeps taking all the cash. We didn't read the contract. There are some surprising permissions on some contracts, and I have read them in detail. There's some fair conversation about all that. So I need to not read it all right now. Skimming, skimming, skimming. Phil Stott had the same problem. The gaming mouse. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, right with you there, Jim. It amuses me that some people think they're so important that the government or their ISP or Google or Microsoft wants to spy on them. Now, there are some automated information sharing stuff that will share your information that they glean from the access that they have that was granted to them through your user agreement contracts that you blindly click yes to, where they will share your information with advertisers or other parties. I saw one. There was a government.
Read chat, please.
There was a government grant. I'll get to that, Gary. There was a government grant that had a privacy agreement that looked reasonable, but they required that you set up an account with some private banking entity, and there was actually 3 levels involved. And I read the agreements on all 3 levels, and the one of those, the one that was the payment engine, the mechanism for the government to put money into your account, gave them authorization to use the information that they have access to in your checking account to use for other purposes. Yikes. Even though the grant or loan, I don't remember what it was, it's something related to COVID, even though that grant alone did not have that kind of authority, it did say subject to the licenses and agreements of other entities that we use for this. All right. I have Gary and Martin to get to. Warrantless, defend the rights of all people nationwide, ACLU, warrantless surveillance under Section 70T. Okay, but there is some legislation here. There is some government oversight here. This isn't just a random government employee. Now, I haven't read through this yet. I will read through it. And thank you for giving that to me, Gary. I'm expecting that there is some filtering of when that can happen. If you're doing anything nefarious, Panama laws are quite strong on making ISPs and VPNs providers turn over all the data. Now, is that only if you have a Panamanian ISP? Or if your communication is going through to a website that uses a Panamanian ISP? Panama is a territory of the U.S., I think. Martin Hogg regarding my comment to John Williams. Let's, I'll go this way. Comment to John Williams is here. Be careful, your wife may hit you and you can't. All right, thank you. You're really going to take my time for that while I'm in overtime already? No. All right, Martin. All right, here you go. Yeah, I think you got one of these yesterday. Minus 2,000. 1, 2, 3. That was not worthy of taking my time while I'm in overtime. No. You used to, oh, you have negative 800. Yeah, your slate's going to be wiped clean tomorrow. So don't get too upset. And this is trolling, but this is fun trolling. Okay. Now, what was that last one? Gary to David. Oh, this was, yeah, this is about the complaints regarding his internet service. Yeah. Okay. So that's a great link. Thank you for providing that to David. Let's see. I got Gary. I got Martin. I think I got everything that has been requested of me specifically. Treat your internet speed as a dumb user, not a tech, and go from there. All right. That'll probably come through. I'll probably put 2 and 2 together and realize what that was in reference to later. Spying on their citizens, most governments. Yeah. Okay, here, we're going to shut down now. You can send a question to me at this email address or put a comment on any of my videos for me to respond to, me in the chat room to respond to during a future live show, 5 live shows, Monday through Friday, and then a 6th one on Saturday. Usually. All right. Catch you later. Have a great day. Goodbye.
That's all, folks.
Tune in 6 days a week for Windows support, the help you seek. Send an email, leave a comment, join the chat. Our tech-savvy crew is where it's at. Not just me, but a whole community, helping you solve tech mysteries. With friends who are here almost every day, we love to chat and help you find your way. So subscribe now, be part of the team, for Windows support and more than you dream. Join the fun, don't miss a single stream. At LiveWindowsTraining-DougBetts or simply where tech support supreme. Where tech support supreme. Tune in 6 days a week for Windows support, the help you seek. Send an email, leave a comment, join the chat. Our tech-savvy crew is where it's at. Not just me, but a whole community, helping you solve tech mysteries. With friends who are here almost every day, we love to chat and help you find your way. So subscribe now, be part of the team, for Windows support and more than you've dreamed. Join the fun, don't miss a single stream. At LiveWindowsTraining-DougBetts or simply more deeply VP, where tech support supreme. Where tech support supreme. Where tech support supreme. Tech support supreme. Where tech support supreme. Where tech support supreme. Where tech support supreme.